I'm conscious that I'm somewhat of an outlier, in my opinion, on what's happening vis-à-vis the Hamas-Israel war in this House. I regret that it has become necessary for people in my position to have to immediately preface any remark they wish to make with a statement that they do not condone, as I do not condone, the level of force and damage to life and property that is being waged by the IDF. If I don't do that, I'll be immediately, and have been immediately, accused of being genocidal. If one lifts one's head above the parapet, and if one offers even a slightly different perspective to that which is not approved of by the pro-Palestinian lobby and the pro-Hamas lobby, both of which are very strong in their voice in this country at the moment. So I feel I have to state that, and I regret that it has become necessary for people like me to state that in order to qualify and to be heard. I also find it highly ironic that a great number of the people who are most vociferous in their condemnation of the violence and atrocities being perpetrated in Gaza have no problem countenancing commemoration services for the provisional IRA people who massacred thousands of people in our own country, including thousands of people of the Catholic faith, and who seem to have no difficulty in balancing those two. We have to be consistent here. If you are going to stand up and condemn what's happening in Rafah, then you cannot be embracing and welcoming the people who murdered my friend Jerry McCabe. Just think about that for a minute, the inconsistency of that. Now, I don't begrudge the achievement of the Palestinian people in securing recognition for a Palestinian state. Most people in Ireland would be happy with that, whatever, even though it's very unclear what kind of a state this is, where it's going to be located, and many other aspects about it. And I recognise that our government and my party leader are acting in what they consider to be the best interests of peace in the Middle East. War is anathema to me. Terrorism is anathema to me, either here in China or in the Middle East, either here in Ireland or in the Middle East or in Yemen or in Darfur or in China or anywhere else, places that are hardly ever mentioned in these houses. We seem to have a fixation for violence in one specific geographic location only. Now, I welcome what the government have done, but I have to say, along with many, many other people, I have serious reservations about the timing of our decision. And I have to say there is every danger that Hamas will perceive, and have perceived it, and are perceiving it right now, as a reward for what they carried out in October the 7th. Because let there be no doubt about it, Hamas began this current conflict. This current round of an age-old conflict was started by Hamas on October the 7th, when they carried out the most reprehensible deeds. It sickens you to see the video clips of what they did to young, vibrant women out celebrating a concert. And they were humiliated, degraded, raped. And unfortunately, they got cheers for doing that from a large sector of the Palestinian community. I think that must be borne in mind also by the pro-Palestinian lobby here. One of the good things I see, one of the upsides about our recognition of Palestine is, I think it does afford us now an opportunity to be proactive for achieving good in the Middle East. We now have the moral right to approach the people of Palestine and encourage them to hold elections. Perhaps the Palestinian Authority might consider holding elections. It's so long since they had them last. We're very critical of Israel. Israel is a democracy. Israel has elections. Mr. Netanyahu, whatever you may think of him, was democratically elected. You cannot say the same of the leaders of Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the rest of them. Perhaps we could encourage the Palestinians and those who support them, to work for the rights of women in their state. We know how women are degraded and how they are perceived as second-class citizens. I have the height of respect for my civic group here, colleagues in the House, for the work that you have done consistently here to champion the rights of women, the rights of women to have rights over their own bodies, the rights of women to have their own sexual leanings. And I have given the fullest support to those colleagues on matters to do with LGBT recognition, and indeed the repeal of the 8th Amendment and other issues like that on which you led, in which I'm very, very pleased to give you credit for that. But surely now you must turn your eyes on trying to achieve, people are talking about eyes on Rafah, eyes on how women are being treated in Palestine, and how LGBT people are being treated in Palestine. Surely we can do something very good on that. Going back to Hamas, and I'll conclude shortly, Chairman, Hamas have no solution whatsoever to the Middle East, only the entire destruction of the Israeli people. And that is a fact. You may look around and open your eyes and all the rest of it at me, but that is an absolute fact. They want to annihilate Israel, and if they release their hostages in the morning, I believe we would have peace and we would get a ceasefire. And why don't they release their hostages? Treating people like animals in caves. We don't know what they're doing. Their parents and their families don't know if they're dead or alive. Let's talk about that in this House. Let's have a bit of balance. Here, look, regarding this motion, I'll finally come to the motion. I believe it's well-intentioned but ill-conceived, ill-timed, and of no real consequence, good or bad. And I support the amendment to defer it for 6 months to see if it can be properly studied and assessed. And I hope that we will have opportunities here in what's left of this Senate term.
Sorry,
I hope I didn't interrupt anybody in this House. I never do. I'm entitled to speak as well, Senator. And I just want to finally conclude with a word of sympathy to the Jewish community living in this country and in this city. We know what they're enduring. We know what their children, the worries and fears they have going to school. I want to say this, I never talk about the other houses of the Oireachtas, but I have to say I totally disagree with the recent statement by Senator Éireann in regards to anti-Semitism in Ireland.
Senators are